morning, you, not YouTube, you're a person, not a platform, and I'd like to treat you as such. Today's video message today is about what it means to be a badass, or really why this whole topic and concept is really important to me as a badass dad. Let's dive in. Last night I was walking my son, Atlas, home from a walk in the park, and as we approached a crosswalk, we started to cross over the crosswalk, and no sooner had we started, a truck on the other side of the street at a stop sign proceeded to cross the street. The truck drove right past us and missed us by about 5 feet. As the truck pulled past us, I screamed at the man's window, and he looked up from his cell phone to see me. And I will tell you in that moment that the things that I was thinking or feeling were not nice. I didn't appreciate somebody who was more interested in whatever was on their cell phone than the man, son, and dog in front of them crossing the street. And it really riled me up. And it got me thinking about the appropriate use of situations like this where you have to go outside of the realm of being friendly. Now, many years ago I wrote a blog called Nice Guys Finish Last, and I'll go ahead and add that as a link below. And I wrote that blog years before becoming a father. But now that I'm a dad, and especially a single dad, it means a lot more to me now to realize that being a nice guy is not exactly what my son needs. Now, I'd like to clarify something here, is that being a badass dad doesn't mean that you have to be a jerk or unfriendly or violent. In fact, that's quite the opposite. Being a badass dad is being the dad who's willing to dance with their kid at a restaurant when the music plays, or go down the slides at the playground, or tickle their kids and play them in public and make a scene and just completely be everything that their child needs them to be. And I think that a lot of dads especially need the encouragement right now to know that it is okay to be that for your child. You can be a protector, but also a playful person. You can be friendly, but also know what it means to stand up for truth and for the right and good things in the world. And when I look around at the world, I don't see a lot of good examples in front of us. And Lee Iacocca, I probably butchered the name there, but he once wrote a book called Where Have All the Leaders Gone? And in the book, he addressed the idea that leadership is very scarce in this world. And I have to agree. As a young man, I once looked up to presidents. And then we have somebody like Bill Clinton getting his dick sucked in office and lying about it. And I don't apologize for the vulgarity, because the word I used is far less vulgar than the act he committed while he was getting paid by taxpayer dollars. I used to look up to police officers, and then I realized that many of them are corrupt. Now, this is an interesting one here because I still fully support our police force and believe that we need them. I just think that they need to be better resourced and have better observations and checks and balances for what they do. But there wasn't a lot of good leadership for me to look up to as a young man. Outside of the circle of my family, my local communities, all of the above, in the public eye, there really isn't a lot of leadership. And that translates to a lot of men who don't know what it means to really be a leader or to stand up for things like truth. And we live in a world right now where truth is something that is few and far between, and in fact it even seems to be offensive for most people out there. Now, I think that in a world where people don't know how to define who they are or demand that you know the names of their imaginary friends, or in a world, especially as a dad, this offends me, where young children can now circumnavigate the legal authority of their parents with medical decisions and be given chemical castration pills, hormone blockers, and ultimately be led down a path where they can erase the gender that they were born with, or permanently scar and damage it. And I'm just going to say that I've had enough. I'm not afraid to say that this is sick. It's messed up, And the end goal of that whole scene is not about having gender equality, it's about giving sexual consent to minors, but that's another topic for another time. But as a dad, and as a badass dad, I'm not afraid to stand on truth and say that I'm not down with this. And anybody who tries to pollute the mind of my young son will have to answer to me. And I think that kids need badasses for parents, and especially as a father. I'm a single dad, and the circumstances surrounding the relationship, or even between the mother of my son and myself, were not pretty. And it was the right decision to separate and create an environment for my son where there was no name calling. There were no instances of violence. He will never have to see his father be called a faggot or a deadbeat dad or get stabbed in the back with metal objects by people who we're supposed to love. And I see a lot of other fathers, especially in the court systems, who have a challenging time getting equal rights as a man. And this is kind of interesting because this world right now doesn't want to assign gender roles. No one knows what a woman is these days, but a woman in court is somehow given preferential treatment all the way up until the age of 3 due to things like breastfeeding and all the above, when most of them don't anyway. And I've had to fight, and still continue to, for equal time with my son. And it's been an uphill battle. And I don't want to necessarily get into that right now, but I want to talk about what it means to stand up for truth and what it means to be a badass, because my son Atlas needs that in this world. And as one badass dad to all of you other badass dads out there, the people who are making it on their own, the people who are changing diapers without complaining, the people who are having to work multiple jobs just to put food on the table so that they can feed their kids and pay child support. It isn't right, it's not fun, and it's not fair. And I'm here to say that it is completely okay to realize that you're not alone. And it's okay to realize that you have an uphill battle in a lot of fights just being a man. Again, we really don't know what men are anymore, but a lot of these circumstances were the things that led me to start the Badass Dad movement. Because I truly believe that children need to see their parents be badasses. And being a badass doesn't mean that you act like a thug or have a gun or a truck or a motorcycle or are full of tattoos, although I'm covered with them myself. Being a badass means that you're simply not afraid to stand up for truth or for doing the right thing, no matter how difficult or rare it is to do the right thing in the circumstances you find yourself in. Children need to see good examples from their fathers, and they need to see dads who love their kids unconditionally and who are willing to go the extra mile to show their kids that they care. And that is what it means to be a badass. And the thing is that in the world, beyond just being a badass dad, being a badass applies to being a person as well. When it comes to relationships, I don't know many women, if you need a definition, you can go to a dictionary and look it up, although I'm sure they changed that, but again, I could go off on that tangent all day. Women don't want a nice guy. Women want a guy who's strong. Women want a guy who will protect them, who will respect them, who will take care of them and treat them like an equal. That's one of the most badass things that you could do as a man to a woman. Women don't want a gentle and mild and soft, caring person. Maybe they want some of those attributes, but I think at the end of the day, people want someone who is courageous, who's bold, and make them feel like they are the luckiest person on the planet to have found their person, because that's the type of love and care that you should show your partner or person that you're with. That to me is a badass thing. I see a lot of badass dads out there who are out there hustling and making things work for their kids and their families. I see people who are working multiple jobs or driving Lyft or Uber or door dashing so they can put extra food on the table. These are all things that are badass. And I think that it's completely okay to use the word badass and say that's what you want to be, because that's what I want to be. Now maybe this doesn't pertain to you. Maybe you don't want to be a badass. Maybe you want to just take things laying down. But that isn't me. And for the men out there that isn't them, this video is for you. And if you know somebody who needs a little bit of encouragement or even just a pat on the back, as one dad to another, as one single dad to another, as one single dad who's never complained about changing a diaper or giving a baby a bath without the help of a mom, I'm here telling you that you're doing a great job. I'm telling you that even though your kids can't necessarily understand or see or even remember what you're doing right now, it is going to make the difference in their life, and you are going to build a foundation for your kids that they can grow up on, and eventually they will see things for what they are. So here's my encouragement to you. I hope that you're a badass today. And if you don't feel like a badass, I hope you know that you can be and that you are a badass and that your inner badass wants you to step up to the plate in your life, in your family, in your relationships, and especially for your children. So go get it today, badass. And especially you, badass dad. You've got this.